Hi there, I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your host for the Night Sky This Week show. Welcome again for another episode. It's February 21st, 2022, and it's another week of stargazing. I hope you've had some clear skies and were able to see some of the things that we talked about last week in the skies, and this week is another great week. The moon is out of the way in the evening, so it leaves behind perfect conditions to look for deep sky objects, and we'll be talking about that today. I want to welcome everyone, seeing everyone joining me from around the world, from the UK, from Canada, from Thailand, from Australia, Serbia. Just wonderful seeing everyone around the world joining in this broadcast. I love seeing where you're watching from and what you're seeing in the night sky wherever you are. So why don't we dive in? Here is the planetarium program for this week. Here we are, and we've got it set up for early evening. I'd say, I've got it about 8 o'clock in the local time. Now, remember, this is for mid-northern latitudes. So that's in the northern hemisphere, about halfway between the North Pole and the equator. That is where I am. Montreal is at the 45th degree latitude. And it really depends on the skies that you see at night. Depends on the latitude that you are really on Earth. Are you in the northern hemisphere, higher up in higher latitudes, closer to the polar region, or in the south of the equator, closer to the South Pole? That influences exactly particularly the orientation of what you're seeing and how much of the same stars that you're seeing. That certain constellations will be blocked below your horizon that I may be talking about, or perhaps it's just higher up in your skies. For instance, you can see here on this image in front of you is Orion. The Orion constellation is very bright. It's marked by 3 stars that mark the belt of Orion. You can see them here. It's Alnitak, Mintaka, and Alnilam. These are the 3 stars that mark that very, very distinctive belt of Orion. Now, the Orion constellation for me is in mid-evening, this time of the year, winter season. It's about halfway up the sky. However, if I would go closer to the equator, this constellation will appear higher up in the sky at the same time of the evening. So if I was near the equator, it would be quite high up in the sky. And Hence, for those of you watching in the southern hemisphere, this constellation will appear the other way, of course, than what you see here. Sort of upside down for me, but what you're seeing here is probably upside down for you, where you're watching in the southern hemisphere. But with all that said, all these cosmic players that I talk about, all these destinations, these points of these objects that you see, be it in stars or planets, they're there. I mean, they're in the same place, oriented next to the other things in the sky. So if we look at the sky this week, what's really neat is that the moon is in the early morning skies. Just before dawn is when the moon will be up. So this leaves the evening time pretty much perfect for deep sky watching. And so one of the great regions to explore in the sky this time of the year is the Orion region and constellations that are next to Orion. And a great guidepost are those 3 stars that mark the belt of Orion that you see here. If I would go to draw an imaginary line between these 3 stars and move towards, let's say, my left. If you're in the southern hemisphere, this would be to your right. And you would be able to see, drawing an imaginary line to the next brightest star, you'll reach Sirius. Right there, you can see. And that's in the constellation. It's a smaller constellation. It's called Canis Major, the big dog. And you can see other animals around Orion as well. There's kind of Monoceros, which is a unicorn here. You also have Lepus, the rabbit that's nearby as well. But Canis Major, of course, its claim to fame is Sirius, the brightest star in the entire night sky. No matter where you are watching from in the world right now, this is the brightest star that you could ever see in the sky. And that's Sirius. And it's bright because of its proximity, how close it is to our solar system. It's only 8.6 light years away. I know that sounds like a lot. It takes over 8 years for the light to reach your eye from Sirius. But, you know, most of the stars that you see in the sky are on average about 75 to 100 light years away. So at 8.6 light years, Sirius is really a close star to our neighborhood. And so it is very bright in our skies, rightfully so. And one of the things that you can see with binoculars, fantastic to see, is an open star cluster called M41. And it is very close to Sirius. And in fact, I'll take a look here how close it is. It's just over 4 degrees apart. So what does that mean? The distance from Sirius to this beautiful star cluster right here is only 4 degrees. Now, how much is that? It's really actually not that much. 4 degrees, just to give you an idea, if you hold out your 3 middle fingers, okay? 3 middle fingers at arm's length, like that. The span between one end to the other here, the width, is about 5 degrees. So 5 degrees in the sky is equal to about the width of your 3 middle fingers held at arm's length. Now, I know our fingers are different. Our arm's lengths are all different. Humans are not all made the same. It doesn't matter. This is just a general guidepost. It's not a precise measurement tool. It's just something that's really handy because we have our hands with us all the time, and we can use this as a general guide to finding the distances between objects and how wide certain objects are in the sky. And I use them all over the place. Even in my guidebooks, I have a guidebook right here. If you haven't picked it up, Backyard Guide to the Night Sky. It's an amazing guidebook out by National Geographic. It was printed just a couple of years ago. It's a fantastic guide. You can get it at wherever your books are sold, as they say. And it's not very expensive, and it's got filled with all these wonderful things about the night sky. I've got all my tips and tricks in this guidebook. I highly recommend you pick it up. But what I was gonna say was that this measurement tool of using your hand, like your fist is about 10 degrees wide. Your 3 fingers are about 5 degrees wide. Your thumb or your finger is about 1 to 2 degrees wide. It's a great tool, your hand, to use that in the skies above. So when we're looking at Sirius and M41, it's about 4 degrees apart. So you hold your hand out, three fingers, hold it between from Sirius, and then start looking around that area. You'll know how far to look with your binoculars or telescope from Sirius. And if we look at what this looks like close up, I mean, it is a beauty of a star cluster. It's very large, it's bright. Believe it or not, it's 2,300 light years away. Here it is what it looks like through a telescope. It just looks like a bunch of diamonds, gems scattered across the black inkiness of space. Just absolutely beautiful, highly recommended, and just incredible to think, people, that what you're looking at here, the light takes 2,300 years to reach our eyes. So you literally are traveling back over almost 2.5 millennia in time. It really is incredible to think that little cluster right here next to Sirius, and remember, this is about the width of your 3 fingers that separates these 2 objects, Sirius and M41. So highly recommend you check that out. And there are other things in this area as well. If we move to the left of Sirius, there's 2 other open star clusters, open star clusters right here. M47 and M46. Now, remember what M stands for is Messier. So we're talking about a very familiar catalog to backyard sky watchers. Charles Messier was a French astronomer in the 18th century, and he basically was a comet hunter. And he through his observations of the sky, he collected this wonderful list of objects that he came across during his hunt for comets. And it's just a beautiful list that still stands the test of time in being the quintessential bucket list for backyard sky watchers with telescopes and binoculars to look beyond the solar system. So here, when we're talking about how far away are we from Sirius to, let's say, M46 right here, let me just mark this off here. Here's M46 and Sirius. And we are talking about, let's say, in terms of our handy measurement, about 13 degrees, almost 14 degrees apart. So what would we say? So in this case, between M46 here and Sirius here, this measurement tool, again, using our hands, 10 degrees from one side of the fist to the other, members at arm's length, and then another, say, 5 degrees, which is measured by that. So equal to about like that in the sky, like that. That is how much space you have to move next to from Sirius to look for these star clusters. And it's not a difficult thing to do, really, but it's something that if you have that knowledge of the measurement and the distances between the objects, it makes a world of difference. And what we're talking about, M46, it's an open cluster. It's in the constellation Puppis, small neighboring constellation. And you can see here that I'm just going to bring up what it looks like through a telescope. There you go. It's a much more, you can see, scattered group of stars. It's fainter. So you need strong binoculars, a telescope to see this, but it's a clustering of hundreds of stars that were born together in the same star cloud and have slowly dissipated over millions of years. And they're probably only a few million years old, but and they're still kind of huddled together, but very loosely. And so what you're looking at through binoculars under dark skies, you'll be seeing that huddling of stars that are very evident through binoculars, and through a telescope like this view that you're seeing here, that is what will greet you, this beautiful star cluster. And it's just amazing to think that these stars in M46 are 4,900 light years away. Now you see partially why it's a fainter cluster. It's just over magnitude 6, so it's just within the realm of theoretically of being able to see this kind of like a misty cloud with the naked eye. But you have to be in a very dark sky to see that. But really, with binoculars, it shows it off, and you're looking at stars that are 4,900 light years away, with M46 as being your target. And next door to it, if we just zoom in, you'll be able to see right here, if I'll just zoom in here with it, M47 right next to it. The two together are easily within a pair of binoculars. They'll be tight together in the same field of view. This is another really just beautiful star cluster, brighter, 4.4 magnitude, and it's closer to us at 1,600 light years away. M47, it looks like this. And you can see some real major stars that kind of pin down this cluster of just a few dozen stars. And this was actually brighter than M46. It's the one next to it that we were just talking about. So you've got this contrasting pair in terms of brightness and how many stars are actually together. And remember, this is a clustering of stars that just beautiful through telescopes and binoculars. 1,600 light years away, much closer than M46. Two clusters that I'd love for you guys to be able to go outside and view. Remember, we're talking about just off of Orion. Use the 3 stars of Orion. Draw an imaginary star line from the belt of Orion to the next brightest star, which is Sirius. You can't miss it. And then with your binoculars, you can start scanning the area around Sirius for these beautiful open star clusters. All of this is within our Milky Way galaxy. Remember, within our home Milky Way. And you can actually see, if I widen the view, check that out. There's the Milky Way band. All of what I'm talking about is within our Milky Way galaxy. We are embedded in our spiral galaxy we call the Milky Way. And this giant island of stars, of more than 400 billion stars at least, some of them are huddled in clusters, and they are visible through backyard binoculars and telescope. How cool is that? So that's for the evening sky. I want you guys to really go out. This week is perfect. Any clear night that you get, take those binoculars. They'll be the great first instrument that you can use, and try to hunt down M46. M47 is a really, really great beginning, and of course M41 as well, down just next to Sirius. And remember, use those handy measuring tools. Now, if we zoom out and go into the early morning skies, I'm going to go to sunrise. You'll see the moon right there. This is set for Wednesday morning. Look at that. Wednesday morning this week, Wednesday, February 23rd, you'll see the moon. It's a quarter moon next to Antares. Antares is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius. And if I just move it a little bit darker, you'll see Scorpius right there in its mythological form, the very gray ghost of Scorpius the scorpion there. And there is Antares, a star that's 550 light years away. Orange giant star will be next to the quarter moon. And this is happening in the southern sky. So got to get up early. Best time to view this is probably about a half hour before your local sunrise. Now, playing out later this week, if we jump forward, there's Thursday. Thursday, the moon will be even closer to Antares. So if you want to wait for the real dramatic and you want to set your alarm for one morning to see this pairing, then Thursday morning, February 24th, will be awesome because the two bright objects will be close together. We call this a conjunction, and it's just a beautiful conjunction between a very bright orange star and the silvery crescent shape of the moon. Just gorgeous together. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, Friday, the moon will have bounced off of there and is going through Sagittarius. There we go, through Sagittarius. This is Friday morning. And what I want you to look for on the weekend, on Saturday, and particularly Sunday morning, is this. Mark your calendar, February 27th, Sunday, that's the next day, really worth waking up for, is to see this amazing lineup of 3 bright objects: Venus, Mars, and the moon. The crescent, very thin crescent moon at dawn, looking towards the southeast. This is just going to be spectacular, a fantastic photo opportunity for those of you with smartphones. I'd love to see your photographs of this. Again, Sunday, February 27th, and you'll see the Venus, Mars, and the moon huddled together in a near perfect alignment. So I'll put a sky chart for this, along with everything else that I've talked about this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please show your support by subscribing to my YouTube channel or Facebook or Twitch account. Wherever you're watching, please sign up. That's your best way to show your support for me for these videos that I bring out every week for free for everyone across the world, giving you some tips and tricks that are easy to do. No major knowledge necessary. You just need to have some clear skies and having the stamina to get up out of your bed if it's early morning, or just go out for 15-20 minutes after your supper and it's dark to look around in the sky and just find a few things every week, 1 or 2 things, that's all. And that's how you begin in the hobby of astronomy. So thank you for your support. I hope to see you all next week. And until then, I wish all of you, wherever you're watching, clear skies. Bye-bye.